Welcome to the Victorious Living Podcast. You're about to hear real stories of real people who have discovered the real hope of Jesus Christ. I'm Kristi Overton Johnson, the founder and publisher of Victorious Living magazine. Since 2011, I've had the privilege of sharing the most amazing life stories. I never cease to be amazed at the life-transforming power of Jesus Christ. Today in our podcast, you're going to go deeper into these amazing God stories and hear from those who have overcome incredible odds and discover how they found a life of freedom. You can discover it too. I trust that you'll enjoy today's conversation between our host and our special guest. Thank you for listening, and be sure to share the hope you hear and the mission of Victorious Living.
I'm here with Kristi Overton Johnson, officially on a podcast. We've been trying to do this, but you've been so busy traveling and everything. But I'm very honored, and I want to take a moment right here at the beginning. I know that hopefully one day we'll get a chance to talk to Brooke, but she's getting married and busy, and we've tried to schedule something. But I want to kind of just, this is your podcast. This is your ministry. God gave this to you. God led you to start it. And Kristi, it's great to be here with you today and have this privilege. As I was sharing right before we started, it's with great anticipation that I'm sitting here with you. But do you have any thoughts you'd like to share about the podcast, the history of it, and Brooke, just for a moment, even though we might have a moment with her down the road, but just for now?
Yeah, so the podcasts were, they grew out of the ministry of the magazine. And when we're trying to tell stories of people in anywhere from 1,600 to 3,000 words, it's impossible to tell someone's whole life story. And so we just really hit on some themes we feel like the Holy Spirit's pulling out. But the podcasts are a way for our listeners and our readers to be able to get to know the featured stories, these people in a deeper way, to see them, to hear them laugh, to also hear more of the story. And we get to just dive in. And at the beginning, I was doing those. At the beginning, I was doing everything. And this was an area I was like, as much as I love it, and that's my problem, is I love all of it. I love going to the prisons. I love going to the jails. I love mentoring people. I love writing the magazine, speaking, and all those things. But I was like, I can't do everything. I can, but you can only do so much. And my heart for this ministry is it not just be what I can. I'm sorry. This is not a hairy armpit right here. This is this is my dog.
I was getting worried, man.
Yeah. So the other three are outside the dog, but I left him in, and I think he thinks that is his invitation to get snuggles, which that was not the intent. But so this was the podcast was something that I first handed over to a lady named Ricky. And Ricky, she did it for a couple of years. She's just like, hey, life's getting busy. And so I met Brooke. And so Brooke did this for many years, and she just did an excellent job. She has such an understanding of the word. And just, they were beautiful teaching videos. And when she stepped away and said, hey, y'all, I'm getting married, it's a new season of life. And that's what we've always realized, that people are here for seasons, they're here for reasons. And sometimes they're here for a really long time, but we're very grateful for the excellence that she served this ministry with. She made everyone feel very welcomed, which is a huge thing for me in this ministry, where to be authentic. And she did a great job. And when she rotated out, Sheridan and I were like, who are we going to get to do this? Because she and I couldn't take on another thing. And we're like, Randykins can do this. And that is our nickname for you. So anyway, yeah, that's the history. That's the history.
I've been having so much fun, and man, I love it. And the opportunity to do this has been really magnificent for me. And I'm so humbled and excited. So, time to dive deep using a nautical term because that fits your career, right? Dive deep. Although you wanted to stay on top of the
I didn't
water.
want to dive. I went deeper. That was mine. Like, yeah, I wasn't a diver and I didn't want to. Okay. I'm so sorry about these dogs.
That's okay.
Can you hear them?
No, no. And everybody's enjoying them. Think of the people that are
They're
on this.
whining and whining. So
Yeah.
let me just open the door.
Okay.
Right back. All right. Let's see what happens here. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So,
mean,
diving deeper. Yeah. So I was one who did at the water skier, you don't want to be diving in, but I wanted to be going deeper and deeper in the pass, deeper in my skill, deeper down the rope. Yeah. So I love that term. And in my life, I really want to go deeper with God. And that
well,
doesn't mean it always happens, but it is my heart. But it does take the same exact discipline that it took on the water to be able to do that.
well, you're laying a foundation, and for our listeners to know that you and I have not sat and discussed what I was going to ask. There's no script, but you've laid a foundation for exactly where I want to go.
Okay, good.
Um, 2 years ago, right about now, Pat Avery, I think you know him,
Yeah, I know him real
Mr.
well.
Pat,
Mr. Pat.
talked to me about you. And, my career, my life was in a completely different direction. So you didn't know about me. I didn't know about you. I mean, but I've learned so much in the last 2 years. And the word champion, and I've looked you up. There's a Wikipedia page about you. And it's like, whoa, this is pretty interesting. So because I hear world champion, I hear Hall of Fame, and but there were so many other events along the way, so many other events that lead up to that, I guess, right? And um, like golf tournament, the Masters.
Hmm.
So where I want to go with this, Kristi, is champion. You are known in your career in life in the secular world as a champion water skier, world champion, not just, I mean, you were a champion of various events. You were the world champion. Do I have that right? I mean, the champion of the world and
Right.
Hall of Famer. Okay. Now,
Yeah.
so what does it really take to be a champion, and then comparing that to living the Christian life, to being a champion for Jesus, a champion for Christ, to minister to others. So I want to ask you questions because when you add glitz and glitter to the idea of being a champion, maybe, I mean, it doesn't always tell the entire story.
Didn't tell hardly any of the story.
Yeah. Okay. And that's where I want us to dive a
Okay.
little bit into today because I think that'll be encouraging.
Yeah.
If,
And
go ahead.
no, it's perfect. This is Patches.
Hi, Patches.
You want to be a champion? Yeah. So it's really interesting that you're bringing that up because I've been writing a lot about this. In the last year and a half, 2 years, I've really been diving in, thinking back of all the things that I did on the water and off the water. Because people don't realize that it's not just things that you did on the water, it was the visualization of off, you know, laying in bed at night before I even get up in the morning, getting my mind right. It was the gym, it was eating right, it was stretching, it was traveling, it was all these things on and off the water. And so Many years ago, over a decade ago, the Lord said, just whispered to my heart, the very things that you did to become a champion, a world champion athlete, are going to be the very things that you have to do to carry out the plans and the purposes that I have laid before you. So to do what I've called you to do, you're going to have to do the same things that you had to do on the water. And so, there's big things like showing up every single day, showing up on the dock, getting off the dock, and saying hit it to the power source. And these are things that I often talk about and have messages. If you've ever heard me speak in a prison, there's this whole message of hit it. Like, what are you saying hit it to? I had to say hit it to a bus driver, but it was so much more than just making a decision to go. It was, who was I connecting to? Who was in my boat? What was I saying hit it to? And getting off the dock every day. So those are really big things that like make a lot of sense. But what people don't see are all the things behind the scenes that have to be done, just to show up to the dock and to overcome the fear, to overcome the possible disappointment and the possibility of failure. Those are the things that, yeah, those are where champions are made. Is that fight.
Was there ever times when you felt failure?
Of course.
Yeah.
I felt every day. I started skiing at age 4. At age 5, I was competing. And there was always a fall. There was always, I could have done more. My failures weren't so much as, yeah, there were tournaments I went and I didn't win. I was one of the winningest female slalom skiers, but I lost more than I won. That's just sports.
Wow.
You
That's a
know,
big
that
statement right there. I mean,
that's
that's
you lose more than you win,
mm,
and you fall more than you stand up, and you cry more than you shout the victory. And those are the things everybody wants to stand on the top
yeah.
of a podium. And I'm telling you, there's something amazing about it. Hearing the national anthem, the flags going up, you've won for your country.
I'm getting chill bumps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I cry when I see the pictures, and you could see the tears in my eyes then, but very few people want to do what it takes to get there.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing spiritually. Joyce Meyer was one that God used early on, one to show me that God could use a woman in ministry, because I had been raised that that was not a place for women, at least not to speak. And it was so weird because God kept putting me in positions and calling me. I wasn't putting myself there to encourage people and to share my story. And so God used Joyce Meyer to show me that he could use a woman. And she's the first to say God could use a donkey, he could use a woman. But also to teach me, about the mind. And there was something I was going to say. What were we talking about, Randy?
Just plowing through everything that,
Oh, yeah,
how
yeah,
you
yeah,
lost
yeah.
more than you won.
Yeah, but she was saying,
Yeah.
there's so many. I had a lot of hits to the head, seriously. But she was saying there's so many people that come up and say, I want to do what you're doing, Joyce Meyer. I want to stand on stage. I want to teach the word. I want to be famous. But the thing is, do you really want to do what she has done behind the scenes? Do you really want to do what Billy Graham did behind the scenes? Crying out to God. These ministers, and we can, I need to do more of the behind the scene things. There's a lot I do behind the scenes, but we are all just people. But there's this moment of discipline that you've got to choose the things of God, or if you're an athlete, the things of your sport and the things that are going to prepare you for that podium. It doesn't just happen.
So we would agree that something that we need to convey, and I loved how you talked about how you, I mean, really lost more than you won, but yet you were a champion, a world champion. You're in the Hall of Fame. And that is life. That is life. encounter things, we encounter situations, we encounter circumstances that none of us want to endure. But the key is plowing through, pushing through, whatever your nautical term might be. You just keep going, right? You keep going no matter what. You don't quit.
Don't quit. And that's what the message of Hit It is. And that's what the Lord, when He called me to prison ministry, He's like, go tell people the story of Hit It. Hit It's what I would say every day to the boat driver. We've already covered that. But it represented a choice that I'm going to hit it, I'm not going to quit it. And every time I fell, every time I came to the dock and the water was cold, or the snakes were there, or the alligators were there, or the wind was blowing, or the competition was like standing on the dock, or the crowds booing you, parents are coming up telling you they hope you fall so their daughter can win. I mean,
Really.
these are things. And so you you are making a choice to say, I'm going to still get in that water. Even though all these people want me to fail, even though my coaches are now on the dock with me, rooting on the girls standing behind me because they've cut me loose. I'm still going to get in the water. I'm not going to be bitter here, but I'm going to go focus, and I am going to show them what's up. I am going to go and still say, hit it. When you have fallen, and all of a sudden, like this is at the Masters, the whole pavilion you hear in the middle of your run because you went down, you hear, oh, all in unison. Like if you ever watch golf or something, it's
Yeah.
all in unison. The applause, the whispers, the yay. And so you would hear that, and I would stay under. And especially like the trick of it, jump, you had three
Wow.
chances. The jump event, you went over the ramp three times. So you crashed, you still had a third time. Tricks, you had two passes, but you really need to stand up on them and do your best. So if you fell early in your first run, you still had to suck it up, Buttercup. You had to grab hold of the rope, wipe the tears, even though you knew, you know what, it might be over, but it may not be. And so there are so many times I fell at the beginning of the run, but then I was like, you know what, I'm going to finish strong. And the way that I finished gave me enough points to still make it to the finals. And then, there's slalom event where if you fall getting up, you're done. You fly all the way to Australia, you fall around the first buoy, you're done. Your ski break, it does not matter. Like you get one shot. And that was this, I jumped, I tricked, and then I specialized in slalom because of a physical, my pelvis needed to be reconstructed. And so I had to stop jumping, I had to stop tricking. Um, but I was focused on the slalom. I had been a world record holder in tricks. I had won the Masters and all of that in tricks. That's what I was known for. I turned tricks in a different way. I turned tricks on a water ski and got paid to turn tricks, but it was water ski. And then slalom, I was good at, but I really started to specialize in it and be coached by world champions when I was 18. That's when I had slalomed all along, but I was like, you know what? I got to let this other two things go, and I've got to focus here. And that's the direction the sport was going anyway. But you fell every day. And the winner of that sport was the person who fell or missed at the furthest part of the course. So you keep running six buoys, they shorten the rope. Six buoys, they shorten the rope. It's eventually going to get too short or you're going to miss. But whoever missed at the furthest point was the winner.
So shortening the rope was a part
Yeah.
of the
Oh,
competition.
yeah. Yeah, so we were already, the pros were already maxed out at top speed. Men 36 miles per hour, women 34. And so when you get to the end, you run your six buoys, you sink, and within 30 seconds, the judges they got timers going. You hear beep, 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 and they've already pulled the rope into there's set increments. Every rope's the same to the centimeter. But yeah, it's shortened. You run six, it's shortened. And so, like the world record, the rope was over 4 feet short of even reaching the buoy. So you're sacrificing yourself. So you knew before you even stepped off the dock, you were going to fail. And the message of Hit It is that you can still fall and fail and still be a champion. You can still fall and fail and be a world champion water skier, but you can also fall and fail and be God's champion. And we see in the Word of God example after example after example of people that fail. Samson had his eyes gouged out. He kept falling over some women. Delilah, we've all had some Delilah or some male version of Delilah that tripped us up. And we end up getting our eyes gouged out, and we find ourselves chained up, and God set him free. And at the end of his life, in the midst of blindness, God used him to do something greater than even in his lifetime. You think of Daniel, Daniel, I don't see the failures, but by the world standards, it looked like a failure. He's thrown in a lion's den. His friends are thrown in the fire, but yet God gave him the victory. Because sometimes you fall because of what you do, but sometimes you fall because someone pushed you. Someone threw you in the dungeon. Someone threw you in those places that were very, very painful. But it says in Romans 8 that God, when we are weak, God falls into those places. It says he helps us in our weaknesses. That word in the Greek means that he falls into that place to help you. Now, God's not walking around and just tripping. Guys, he is purposely jumping in, pulling you out, pushing you out, hoisting you out, however he needs to get in there with you and help you. You just got to be willing to get out and say, okay, God, I'm going to hit it with you again.
Different sports have different terms. And where I want to go with this next segment, in basketball, it would be pivot,
Mm-hmm.
change directions.
Yeah.
In racing, it would be shifting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it would be. And,
We change edge. You're
change
changing
edge.
edge. You're creating an arc to round the buoy to go in
And
the
that's
different
where
direction.
that's where the water sprays up so
Mm-hmm.
beautifully. Okay.
Yeah, but it's all happened in the pre-turn. It's I actually, so I need to do an interview with you, Randy,
Okay.
because a lot of the people watching, they don't know much about you. So I would like to do another segment where I get to hear about your NASCAR background. But when I read your writings, it's very easy for me to understand. And I actually went to Bob Bondurant's racing school. You
I'll
don't know
check
that
you
about
out. Yeah.
check me out. I'll have to send you a picture of me and Bob and my gear. And my husband went and raced the Formula One cars,
Cool.
and I did the Mustangs. And we were on open track, but all of the same arc, all of the thing coming in, and the points that you're not aiming at the turn, you're
Yeah.
not aiming at the obstacle. You have already made your turn, and it is just exact same thing. If you think about the buoy being the turn on that track, you've already initiated a turn. That's the first thing, like in the slalom course, that my dad or my coach would say, you don't look at the obstacle. You don't look at where you it's already done in the work in the pre-turn. And the thing is, when you do all of that, you go around the obstacle. I was able to get around obstacles that were humanly impossible because I was using the power of the boat, the arc of the line, and then I was releasing, and it was just a rhythm. It wasn't power, it was being tapped into the power of the boat. And it's like that in our spiritual life. It's a rhythm with God, that he not only gives you this desire to do what pleases him, but it says he gives you the desire and the power. But we're trying to overcome drugs. We're trying to be a better wife, a better mom. We're trying to write magazines and go get money for a ministry in our own strength. And that's when we run out of gas. That's when we get out of position. That's when we crash. That's when we burn. It's when we miss the turn and we crash into the wall. Or my case, you go tumbling head over heels because you weren't in position.
let's let's pivot here or edge here, okay, or shift here. All right.
Okay.
So career,
Hmm.
that was a stage of life, a part of life where there was so much focus. You and I talked about this 2 years ago because we talked about how you have all of these years of a certain focus and then that stops, that
Yeah.
comes to an end. And then, but was, the adrenaline rush, okay, the focus, all the things, all the efforts you put forward, that adrenaline rush of being a champion, of competing, of being busy, of being and doing things, and things begin to change and shift. And I'm trying to draw a kind of an analogy here, a way for people listening to this who are at a point in their life, whether it's because they've committed a crime and they're in prison, or whether something major has changed in their life, and all of a sudden there's just this, what do I do now?
Hmm.
And you talk to me, and we'll elaborate that on that more someday, but about being on the sidelines. And ever since you said that to me, I used that. I was sharing it with somebody the other day about, okay, you have this career going and then things changed and now you've been on the sidelines. And so what do you made some decisions about ministry? Why ministry? Why not business? Why did you choose ministry?
Because of God. Um, and that's not to say everybody has to go into ministry, because ministry isn't necessarily a 501(c)(3). You do ministry every single day of your life.
Oh
And
yeah.
you can do that as if you're a school teacher, if you're a prison guard, even in your incarceration. You can have a ministry to other people who are incarcerated. You can serve there, you can love on people. So for me, I was at the end of my career, and I knew I didn't want to be at the end of my career, but after all the surgeries, my neck fusion, my back, my pelvis reconstruction, my knee, my wrist, all these different things, um, I just I was falling apart and I was in a lot of pain. I was not able physically to do, and that's hard when you have been the best in the world to then all of a sudden you can't anymore. And to even admit that you're standing on the dock, and so most athletes, like, to be able to go out like, yes, I like, you're the champion. And for me, when I got to the end, I couldn't win anymore. I mean, it was like my last year. I did win the Masters the year before, but the next year, I'd torn the ligaments in my hips that were holding my pelvis in place. I had a hip dysplasia issue in both hips. I could barely walk, and so I am in pain. And I remember, oh gosh, I've never even shared this. I just pulled egg off my chin, Randy. You're
I
supposed to
so
tell
didn't
me.
see it. It's
Oh
okay.
my goodness.
Here,
Y'all,
I'll
I
do it
ate
too.
really fast in between some meetings and I had egg yolk on my chin. Um, but yeah, so I remember being in California at an event, and I shouldn't have gone. I was in so much pain. And I remember like feeling this thing, don't go, you shouldn't be there, don't go. And I packed my bag anyway in North Carolina. We had one last set. My husband pulled me before we left. You pack everything up, wrap it all so it survives the airplane ride out there and doesn't get broken. And I'm standing there, my ski is on the picnic table. And I'm wrestling inside. Do I ski? Do I not ski? I mean, I've already made the trip. Like, I should not ski. I get ready to grab my ski to go to the dock. My ski flies, nobody's there, nobody touches it. It does a 360 off the picnic table and lands on the concrete. Something that I'm always protected. I didn't let anybody carry my ski, and the only one that touched it was my husband or my coach. And I'm like, I think that's my son. And but I went
Wow.
anyway because I was so stubborn and I skied so bad. but I didn't know who I was apart from being Kristi the skier. And so wrestle, wrestle, wrestle. It was just miserable. And I'd already started some ministry things at this point. I was doing some church services at the events. We would have church service under the pavilion, but I was still trying to hang on to my career, even though I could sense God shifting me. Um, he had shown me very clearly. He said, okay, I always hate it when someone says, God said this, but when you walk with him enough, you know when it's him speaking. And I was driving down the road and I heard in my spirit, all these years you have been faithful to stand on camera, like ESPN, whatever camera, hold up your ski and it had a fish on it, which means you're a Christian, and say, I want to give God the credit for this win. And it's like, kudos. But you have never once told anyone how they can know the one that you give thanks to. I was 30 some years old. I'd been raised in the church. I had never once told someone how they could know Jesus. Never. And the Lord showed me he had given me that sport to introduce people to a power source that would never fail them. It wasn't about a ski boat. It was about me learning life lessons, me building relationships with people, me then having a platform as a world record athlete to then go into places as a speaker. Because there's just something, because we've studied it this morning, Randy, the world looks at the outside. So there's something about, I mean, as soon as you walk in with that medal or your tracksuit or whatever, it's like, oh, there's a world champion. Everybody runs up, and let me clear this up. Everybody runs up. What was the Olympics like? I was never in the Olympics because water skiing was never an Olympic sport. Back in the 70s, it was an exhibition. We would make it close. We would make it so close. I skied Pan Am's, Worlds, Masters, US Opens, all that kind of stuff. But the highest our sport had, but we did not, other than the Pan American Games, ever get to go to the Olympics. But it's like people get excited about that. That's why God allowed me to have that, was to then be able to have relationships and have opportunities to do what he was calling me then in the next season. But the thing is about seasons, we think when we're shifting out of one season that God's never going to use what's in that past season. He has used everything I've ever experienced for this season. Well, this is actually kind of the third season. That the first season was all the ski, and the second season was me trying to find my identity and then going into this water sports ministry and all of that. And then after 12 years of that, I'm settling in as a mom, we've adopted kids, all of that. Then God has me actually let go of water sports, give that whole ministry away, which was thriving, and march into prison to share the message of Hit It. And so it's been a very organic journey for me, with a lot of highs, a lot of lows, a lot of me learning about myself, the performance aspect that I'm so addicted to. But God also, to be a world champion, it takes performance. Let's not just be, we can't just pretend that doesn't happen. You got to be able to perform under pressure. You got to be willing to keep going, to keep going. And I think that's what God was meaning. I'm going to use that tenacity and that ability to pack up. I mean, little things, pack up and go, pack up and go. That's what I did my whole life. Pack up my ski, I'm out the door. I come back, wash the stuff, go out, train, bam, 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 rest for a half day, then gone. And the Lord has given me, I believe, a supernatural ability to fuel up fast, and then be able to do the work He's called me to do. But it takes a lot of discipline. Like this morning, you were like, "Oh, I was feeling good about my your walk around the block." And for me, it's like I've got to get up early. I called JC Almonds on the way home. It was like, I don't know, 7 o'clock this time. I'd already been, and he was already in the gym. He's on his second gym at 5 something in the morning Arizona time, and he'd already been there. And there's just it's extreme. It really has to be extreme sometime, but you just got to make sure you don't burn out. But to do what God has called all of us to do, it may not be as extreme as I'm making it, but it will take a lot of discipline because your flesh is never going to feel like it. I never woke up one morning and said, yes, there ain't nothing hurting. Let me go ski
Yeah.
today. It was, oh my goodness, how am I going to make it to the shower? I can't get out of bed. I can't walk. I can't bend over to even put my slippers on, much less bend over to put a ski on. How am I going to do this? But yet, because of your desire, you would find a way. And so, if there is a desire to know God, to be used by God, it doesn't just happen. And you're not going to wake up feeling like it. It's a wake up and say, this is more important to me than how I feel. Walking in that victory over there, being free of drugs, that means more to me. To be a good mom, a good dad, and to walk closely with God is so much more important to me than this momentary high. And I've got to say no to this so I can say yes to this. And to be able to do that, it's going to take some healing. I'm not naive. It's going to take some healing of why are we reaching for this in the first place, and letting God reveal, that what it is we're running to for that comfort and that peace, and to hide or bury down all the pain, because it's there. And that was one bad thing, that as an athlete, I never processed my pain, always pushed through it. And so that was not healthy. So I'm having to learn even now to stop and process something, take a minute and process it and feel it. Because as soon as I came out of the water after a failure, I had to smile and put a smile on my face, and I had to pretend everything was okay, and it wasn't okay. And that was just something I was taught. Keep yourself together. Don't cry out here. If you want to cry, go to the toilet, the portalet. Everybody, okay, this is going to be gross, but everybody always wants to know, why do I go to the bathroom so fast? It is because I spent 30 some years in portalets at water ski events. So when I go in, I'm getting my business done and I'm coming out. So I don't know why that's there, but that trained me for jail bathrooms and prison bathrooms. You get in, you get out. So anyway, where did that come from, Randy?
I don't know. And BJ, do not edit that out. So, in summary, let's you and I create some talking points. Okay,
Okay.
just boom, 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 talking points. So anybody could make the effort to become a champion. How?
Well, first of all, you have to realize that you can be a champion. And I want to look somebody in the eye right now. I'm going to look at this camera, not you, Randy. There is someone right now, no one has ever told you that you are a champion or that you can succeed and excel in life. You've been told you'll never amount to anything, that you're going to
Yeah.
be just like your daddy, that you're never going to be more than incarcerated person, an inmate, or a convicted felon, or whatever. That is a lie. God has called us all to be fruitful. That is the very first thing. He gave us life, says he has a plan and a purpose for our life, and he has called us to be fruitful. He doesn't call us to be fruitful. You can't, being fruitful, being a productive person in your life, what does that mean? It means you're not living for yourself anymore. You're living for God and for others. You will love the Lord God with all of your heart, soul, strength, and mind, and you will love others as you love yourself too. So that's where that self-care and all of that comes in. But you've got to realize you are a champion in God's eyes, and he has plans and purposes for you. And not only will he help you to do it, he wants to help you to do it. He wants you to help you overcome. but you got to make a choice. So then it comes down to choice, realizing you're a champion, and then choosing daily a path that's going to lead you to a fruitful, God ordained, purpose filled life.
When you go into prison, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to do so.
Yeah.
But when you go into prison with a couple of people, a group, a team, and you come out, what is that moment like when you come out? What are you feeling? What are you thinking? What's going through your mind about what just happened?
Well, it's interesting. People don't realize. Okay, I gotta tell you how I feel going in first.
Okay.
So going in, I know that I've got to be prayed up. I know that I've got to rely on the Lord. And so I continually, for me, it's a continuing trying to humble myself before God and not to ever take it for granted. Jack Murphy, and I try to drink out of his cup a lot. He painted this, Murph the Surf. He was my mentor. He says, never be afraid when you go into jail or prison, but never forget where you are. And so the fact is, there's so many people that are excited to have you and to welcome you, but there is also at work there some forces of darkness that don't want you there. And so I met yesterday at the jail. I could tell you I was staring eye to eye with someone that had some demonic activity going. I could feel it, I could sense it, I could see the glare in the eye coming at me. Like, it was very strange. It's not to be afraid of that, it is to be suited up in the armor of God. And sometimes, especially on the weekdays that I go into jail, I can forget that, because I'm just going in and it's part of my routine. Where when I'm doing these tours, you're there and that's your whole purpose. So you go in and you're just trying to be a vessel. And when you're being a vessel for God, and with 2-hour program, people don't realize, like, the word channeling is very strange, and it almost sounds, but it's not channeling. You are a vessel that God is working, and you are an open vessel. The last thing I want to do when I go into a prison or a jail is to speak Kristi's words, what I think you need to hear, or what I want to say, or what I think's good. I need it to be what God wants. So you're there, you're an open vessel, and there's things just flowing out of me, and there's things happening, and you're watching God move. And so when you leave, there's this mixture of excitement because you have experienced God do something that you knew it was God, because you didn't plan to say those things. But there's also a sense of, and it especially hits you when you get home. There's been days we've done 3 events in one day. I've gone and done 9 events in 3 days by myself. Don't recommend that, because I'm drooling. You are so exhausted because not only are you facing physical things, but you're in a spiritual battle. And then finally, when I leave, my heart is very heavy. Like, it's rejoicing, it's excited, I'm exhausted, but my heart feels very heavy. And sometimes I feel even guilty, if I'm going to be honest, because the first thing a lot of times when I leave is I go get me something to eat, or might be getting me a Starbucks. And then I go back to the hotel room. And I mean, we're not living it up in the Ritz, but we go into our La Quinta or our Holiday Inn, and I'm in a comfortable bed. And then I pray. I thank God for what happened. I thank God for what he's doing, but I pray for the men and women that we just encountered. And I have to wrestle because I feel so bad that I'm in a bed. Um, so then I have to fight those things. Does that make any sense?
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, I mean, I think about that stuff too. And I guess too, what I wanted to touch into was the adrenaline rush
Oh, yeah.
because, career wise, being a champion and, you're used to that adrenaline rush. Uh, it's just, I remember Pat saying to me, just come in and check it out. Just come in and see what. And I was blown away, uh, just by the authenticity, the those that are there that are mentors, and I'm talking about incarcerated, that they're in there for years and years and years and years, or maybe life. They're making the best of it.
Mhm.
They're doing what they can to be a champion. And that's really kind of where I wanted to go today. I mean, not only talk about you, I appreciate and love you. Um, Thankful for the opportunity to be here doing this, to be going out there doing that. And, but it's just great to be used of the Lord.
Amen.
And it's great to see what's going on with you and what you've done with this ministry. And the magazines go into over how many prisons?
Thousands of facilities. Well, it's on over 2 million prison tablets. It's also, we ship in 84,000, I think it was this last
Yeah,
printing.
it's
But the broadcast, the podcast, the prison events, the writing, correspondence, Mr. Pat answering the phone, the care line. It's been so beautiful and God's unfolded it. And there's so much more that we want to do because it's not about doing, but it's about the lives. We just want to deepen our ability to touch lives in the space that God's given us. And I'm glad you're on this journey. And can I show you one thing?
sure.
I got to get up for a second. I got to grab it. Boy.
We'll pause
Oh,
for this commercial. Oh, there
dun,
she
dun,
is.
dun, dun. All right. So sorry about this, but we never know where we're going to talk. We were talking about being a champion. And so I proposed the question to the guys at Marion Correctional. Um, how can you be a champion? How can you live a purpose-filled life behind bars? Can you? Is it possible? And I just received all of this from individuals that yes, it is possible to be a champion.
Amen.
Yes, it is possible to live a purpose-filled life. And so my next task is to read through all these. The way I live a purpose-filled life behind bars by keeping a good attitude, even when life gets hard and oppressive. I also smile a lot and laugh to keep my spirits high. I mean, every one of these is a different answer. And there's, I don't even know how many. So now I've got to go through these and want to do a series on how to live a purpose-filled life behind bars.
Wow, that's really awesome.
Yeah, but it is possible. And however our ministry can come alongside to the best of our ability, you can write to us. You can call in and be patient with Mr. Pat. He's one person. I always say that. He's answering every time it's ringing to the best of his ability. Sometimes he does have to go to the bathroom too, if we're talking about bathrooms. He's not as quick as me. But yeah, so we have a lot of fun. And it is our greatest joy to come alongside people and to help them in their journey. And I'm just forever grateful. Randy, this morning you asked, has we do a devotion. If they're wondering why we were, diving in this morning, our team was doing a devotion, and you asked, was there ever a time where your life turned out differently than you had anticipated? And you're so glad it did. I thought my life would have always been water sports. It would have always been, um, I was on a speaking career type thing, and I felt I was going to be like speaking at corporations, maybe on camera, all this kind of stuff. But God shifted. It wasn't for the free world, it was for the world of corrections. And He took me out of the sport of water skiing and He put me in this world of corrections. And I'm so glad that He did,
Amen.
because it has been the ride of my life.
Amen.
And we're just getting started. So thank you, Randy.
Hey, thank you. Give me five. Give me five. Hey, so it's been great having you today.
Thank you.
you are gonna shoot me for this. But I encourage anybody that sees Kristi, ask her to tell the story of flushing the turkeys.
Well, we got to tell it now.
No, I'd rather you just.
Okay.
Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for
We're
being
talking
here
about
today.
flushing and toilets, all sorts of stuff. Flushing the turkeys. That's right.
Thank you for watching our broadcast. Are you an incarcerated brother or sister who needs encouragement? Write to us at Victorious Living Correspondence, P.O. Box 2751, Greenville, North Carolina 27836, or email us at hope@vlmag.org. To view Victorious Living magazine in its entirety, please have your chaplain contact us at 352-478-2098 or email us through our website at vlmag.org. We are happy to provide our Victorious Living magazine free of charge in bulk with or without staples.